Hey guys, and welcome to Shaytime. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to order, install, and program your motorized roller blinds. So motorized roller blinds are essentially like the normal roller blind, except they've got a tubular motor inside which allows them to bring the blind up or lower it using electricity. And you can trigger that by either a switch or a home automation scene or something along those lines. So I'm going to quickly talk to you about where I got my blinds from. So I found a website online called Blinds on the Net. So pretty easy to remember, right? Their website is a little bit archaic, but it works and functions well. And the product that they produce is really good and the price is even better. So once you hit the website, you're going to want to choose your blind style. Once you've selected your type, you then want to select what colors you want. So we went with the blockout blind, and the colors we chose were, I think, pumice in the end. But before you choose your color, you want to order a sample pack of colors from them so you can actually get the swatches and try them around your home, because holding your computer screen up to the wall doesn't really truly represent the color of what the blind will be when it arrives. So I can't recommend that enough. So make sure you do that. Order your colors, and about 2 days in the post you'll receive them, and you can put them up around your house and see which color works best for you. So we went with the color called pumice, obviously, and we ordered motorized roller blinds. So once you get to your order page, it's going to ask you to input in the measurements of your windows. Now, measuring is very, very important. So what you need to do is follow their guide online, and basically you measure in 6 times. You measure from the top left to the top right, the left middle to the middle right, and the bottom left to the bottom right, and then you basically do vertical measurements. So top left to bottom left, top to bottom middle, and top right to bottom right. And if I were you, I'd be measuring the top left to right a couple of times, because that's the most important measurement. That is where your blind is going to sit inside the bracket. So it's got to be right, it's got to be spot on. So measure it twice, get it cut once. I think that's the saying. So once you've got your measurements, you're pretty much good to go. So jump onto the website, you select your blind type, your blind color that you've picked from your swatches, and you can start entering in your measurements. Now, there's a couple of other options that they're going to ask you. One is, do you want your blind to be face mount or recess mount? The difference between that, face mount sits on basically the face of your frame and kind of will overlap the frame a little bit and basically give you the best method to cut out light. Or there's recess mount, which is what I went with, which is recessed in the actual frame. So the reason I went for that is if I walk past my window or something, I'm not going to catch the blind on my arm if it's in a walkway. And I just like the look of recessed better, but it's totally up to you what you choose. So I went with recessed. It's also going to ask you things like what side you want the motor to actually be on. And when they say motor, they mean basically what side of the cable's going to poke out of. And you have to kind of do a bit of pre-planning and think, okay, well, you know, where's the easiest place for me to crawl around in the roof space, and where would I like the motor cables to be popping up through the roof? So think about that when you're selecting which side your motor is going to go on. Also, they're going to ask you questions like, do you want it, which way do you want the face of the roll to go? So basically, do you want the roller blind to come down front ways, and so you hide all the mechanism and the roll, or do you want it to kind of roll towards the outside, if that makes any sense? So I chose roll in, just because I want all the bits and pieces to be covered, and I like the way how when it rolls in, it will line up with the wall nice and flush on either side, and I think that just looks really cool. So basically, once you've made all those choices, you then nickname each blind, so theatre room or bedroom or lounge room, and I can't recommend doing that enough, because when you get them all in the box, you're not going to know which one goes where. So make sure you nickname them. Once you've placed your order, it takes a couple of days for them to actually custom make your blind. And then once they've done that, they'll ship it out to you. Now, they ship it out using a courier, so mine arrived using TNT, I think. And the only criticism I have is they packed all 6 blinds into one big long box, and it was actually quite awkward and difficult to maneuver. Now, you've got 2 options. One is you could either break the box open at wherever you get delivered and repack everything to your car and drive it home, because it's during business hours, you're probably at work. Or I guess maybe you could specially request that they put them into 2 smaller boxes, which would be a little bit more manageable. That was the only criticism I have. Apart from that, they were packaged really well and they were delivered really quickly, and TNT didn't damage anything, which is great as well. But you do have the option of ordering insurance as well when you get them shipped. I didn't do it, but I guess I was probably lucky. So once you've got your blinds and they arrive, you want to start the process of actually installing them. So what you want to do is pull your blinds out of the box and just put them up in the frame and make sure they fit, which is probably your first step. And once you've done that, you can get ready to install the brackets. So to install the brackets, what you're going to need is a few different tools. So we've got a drill with a drill bit on it to actually drill through the frame. We have an electric screwdriver to put the screws in. We have an Allen key to set the top limit and bottom limit. Later on I'll show you how to do that as well. And some screws, and I've got painted screws so they blend in with the frame. And once you've got those, you're good to go. So first thing you want to do is put up your bracket with what's called, I think it's called a sprocket, which is basically a piece of metal which sticks out, which is rigid, and that's the end your motor is going to go on. So that's kind of the first bracket you want to put up, and make sure it's flush in the corner and you've got enough clearance so when the blind drops, you're not going to hit any door handles or locks or anything like that. And then when you've done that, you can screw them into place. And then the other bracket that you get given basically has a little indentation in it where when the blind goes into place, it's got like a retractable pin which kind of moves out of the way and then pops into that indentation and locks the blind in place. So that's the second bracket you want to put up. So obviously make sure that's flush and screw that in and you're good to go. The next step is to actually put the blind up. So you want to unpackage the blind, and I mean, these guys package their blinds really well. Everything's kind of sticky taped and heavy duty plastic protecting everything, so that's great. So you've got to remove all that and put the blind up. Make sure you've washed your hands, or make sure you don't get grubby finger marks all over your brand new blinds as well. That's probably something to watch out for. So click the blind into place on the sprocket end, and then on the other end with the indentation and the little retractable pin, click that in, and that's your second step. Once that's done, you can test the electronics of the blind. So plug your blind into the control system that you've chosen, and it will basically spring to life and start moving up and down based on the buttons you're pressing. And then you take your Allen key and you'll set the limits for the top and the bottom. And now there's detailed instructions on how to do all this on their website, but I was just going to give you a quick overview so you could see how they'd work, and that you can actually use this website and you will get blinds. They're not going to rip you off, and they are actually very good quality. So that's pretty much how to get your blinds ordered and how to do a basic install. In the next episode, we'll talk about how to actually run the cabling through your roof and do some programming and that kind of thing, so we can get them working with a home automation system. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next episode.